I'm first going to work on my green paper, and the tray that we have is blue and yellow and also white. So because we are just using these three colors to blend on the paper, we're not actually going to use our water until we're ready to switch papers. So when you're painting, you can use one color for a while. Notice I'm going kind of up and down, going the same direction, so I'll get a nice texture on my paper. But when you think you're ready to start blending on top, I'm not actually going to wash my brush right away. We're not going to need to wash our brush because we're all making essentially green. So if a little bit of green gets in the yellow or the blue, it's okay. Just don't take your brush and mix up the entire color, because then no one else gets to use that color. I think I'm going to go back and go in for some more blue. Notice when I add more blue than yellow, I'll get a much darker green. And when I add a little more yellow, it kind of brightens my green up. The other color I can use to lighten my picture is white. If I add white, I'm going to get more of a minty green. So I can always start mixing in a little bit of white. Again, I'm making sure my brush is mostly kind of dry before I dip it in a different color. That way it doesn't mix too much into the paint. I like the fact that I have different color greens on different parts of my paper. I'm not worried about making my green one solid color. Nice thing about making your own painted paper is it doesn't have to be just one green. I've been holding just the edge of my paper so it doesn't wiggle around on me too much. I'm also making sure to brush all the way up and down the paper, all down the edges too. That way I can use the whole paper once it's been painted. Make sure to get any little spots. When you come to the last little bit, you might get a little paint on your hand. It's okay. We're going to wash our hands later. So I'm going to just kind of gently hold the corner, hold the paper while I paint the corner. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now my brush is going to need to be cleaned, but I need to move this out of my way. So the water cups that are in between you and a partner, you're just going to put the brush in the water cup to hold it for now. And then this whole thing, you're going to take the paper with the mat to the drying rack. Don't lift just the paper up. The paper is super floppy. So we're going to use the mat. Hold it very carefully, hold it nice and straight, walk it over to the drying rack. While you're waiting for your next color, you're going to rinse your brush off, and what I'm doing is I'm holding my cup with one hand so it doesn't wiggle around on me, and I'm stirring the bottom, I'm brushing the bottom with the actual bristles. I'm not just dipping. Dipping isn't going to clean my brush. I'm almost painting the bottom of the cup over and over again. And when I start to look at my brush and I don't see a lot of big chunky pieces of paint, probably means my brush is ready. I'm scraping off as much water as I can because I don't want a lot of water on my brush. And then I'm going to take one of the paper towels at the table and dry it off even more, as much as I can. Kind of brushing in all different directions. I'm not taking it and squeezing and pulling because sometimes that pulls the hairs out of my brush, and I want to be gentle. So I'm brushing and drying it. Move my paper towel to the side. I can also double check my name is on the back of my small paper, grab another messy mat, and put my paper down. When the next tray comes out, you're going to have two primary colors, red and yellow, as well as white again. You can make oranges and peaches and pinks on this paper. So right now I'm just brushing some red on. And again, we won't need the water now because these colors all mix nicely together. I think I do want some pink, so I'm adding some white. Add a little more white to make it a lighter pink. You can decide what kind of pink you want. think I'm going to add some yellow. It's going to turn it into more of like a peach color. Peach is light orange. So if I have red and yellow, and then I mix some white in, I'll get kind of a peachy color. I'm still using those same up and down brush strokes. And if you wanted to come up with a different texture, maybe you want to do sideways brush strokes, you could do that. Might even want to add some red brush strokes in here so it looks more interesting. Notice whenever I run out of paint, I keep dipping back in for more. I don't scrub my brush really hard. If it starts to dry up, I just dip it back in for more paint. Okay, my second paper is finished. Same thing, I'm going to take the brush, I'm going to stick it in the water for now to hold it, while I take this mat with the paper on it slowly over to the drying rack. Once I put it on the drying rack, I'm going to make sure again my brush is in my cup. The cup is going to go in our painting bins. If I have a paper towel and maybe I got some paint on the table, I could take one of the paper towels that were wet from washing our brush and wipe off the table. And then if I need to wash my hands, I can go wash my hands. Please don't go to the sink until you've put your paintings on the drying rack.